The events of yesterday have shaken our community to its roots, but our roots are deep and our faith is strong.
Sad to see that bad things really do happen to good people.
I have to look in the eyes of my daughter and explain to her she'll never see her friend anymore.
They will be missed. The reality is many people were praying for us throughout this event, and that's pretty important.
And our commitment to our home is unshakable.
This is a special report from 24-Hour News 8. Shooting Rampage, standing strong.
And good evening. You're looking at live pictures right now of Anabawan Park on a beautiful July evening as a grassroots vigil is set to begin in just about a half an hour at 8:30 tonight. This to remember and honor the victims from yesterday's deadly attacks.
You were right here with us last night as the tragic drama unfolded live right in front of our eyes. Our community was frozen in fear, shocked by the sheer magnitude of what was happening and scared about what would happen next.
Tonight, though, we're coming together. We're coming together once again, not to watch and wait, but to stand strong. Tonight, we're gathering and broadcasting as our community mourns, unites, and supports one another.
Before we head downtown to Anabawan Park, we want to take a look at what got us here. It seemed to happen so fast, and yet it stretched out for hours upon hours. 24-Hour News 8's Brett Thomas tells us how it all started.
Taped up and locked down, a city seemingly with more crime scenes than cops, and the fear, the outright fear that it wasn't going to stop.
I don't want to accept this. Not at all. It's very hard.
Too hard almost. 7 dead. 2 of them kids.
This is madness. This is madness. I have to look in the eyes of my daughter and explain to her she'll never see her friend anymore. She won't come back.
We still don't know exactly what time it began, but by late afternoon there were 2 crime scenes. 3 dead on Plainfield, 4 on Brinell Court. And the man police said did it, Roderick Danzler. He was out there, somewhere. He was armed, and he wasn't done.
You know, it was very much a purposeful act.
Sightings started streaming in from all over the place. He was on Alpine. He was near Aquinas. He was headed to Detroit. For hours, nobody really knew. But then at 7 o'clock, things started happening and fast. He found his next intended. A shot fired at a woman driving a car. A selfless act, though, by a Grand Rapids police officer may have saved her life, ramming Danzler with his own car, drawing his anger and his bullets.
I heard shots being fired and then a white Suburban being chased by I don't even know how many cop cars, and he was just hauling butt that way.
Through Grand Rapids streets and eventually to the highway, tires blown, a slow chase up 131, across the median, the wrong way down 96, drivers braking, bailing, diving out of the way. Eventually, the car ended up down an embankment and Danzler took flight, kicking in the door of a house. He took hostages, and then the standoff. Police everywhere, guns drawn. It seemed at any minute Danzler could run free. Police warned the neighbors. They checked the trunks of cars. Day turned into night. Danzler was not giving up, it was obvious. There was one more life to take. Around 11:30, a final shot. Roderick Danzler was dead by his own hand. His hostages safe. And a town, a neighborhood, a community was rocked. Brett Thomas, 24-Hour News 8.
All of that brought us to midnight, and we've been following this story ever since. Tonight, we want to take time now to mourn the victims in this tragedy and to take heart in our community one way that we feel is unlike any other.
Fittingly, tonight's candlelight vigil was organized by someone who watched, just like you, last night. Someone who just wanted to do something to bring people together. 24-Hour News 8's Emily Leonard is live at Anabawan Park with their story tonight. Emily?
That's right, Susan and Brian. People are starting to gather here outside the Gerald Ford Museum at Anabawan Park in downtown Grand Rapids. I'm joined by the people who put that Facebook page up, creating this vigil for the community, for anyone to come out. This is Shannon and Rick Feitz. You guys, tell us about watching the coverage last night, watching everything unfold, and then putting together that Facebook page, calling a community together.
Well, my wife and I were just horrified at what we saw, and it just made us so sad that we thought we'd get a Facebook page to try to bring the community down here to show that they're not alone, that we're there for them. If they need any support, any help, anything we can do for them, we're here. We want to bring this community back together and feel safe again.
It's really a big undertaking. What's your hopes for tonight?
I just hope a lot of people turn out and understand that we can't have this kind of violence in Grand Rapids. This is a peaceful city, this is a peaceful town, and we want it to remain that way.
Shannon, what would you tell people who are sitting at home tonight, thinking about their community, wondering what they can do for their community? Would you encourage them to come down?
Yes, I would just tell them to come down and show their support, and everybody is welcome. Please come and join us.
Did you guys follow what was happening on the scanners? Did you listen to the coverage?
Yes, absolutely, and it was just horrifying. I mean, everything that we heard, it was just, we were on pins and needles. I mean, it was like we were there, and we could feel what the families were feeling, and we could feel what the community was feeling, and it was, we couldn't even sleep. We had to do something. We started the Facebook page. We got it this morning. There was over 300 people on it. It just amazed us, so we were really proud.
Well, indeed, you were there because you are Grand Rapids residents, as are so many people here tonight. We're all West Michigan people. You were there.
Absolutely, yeah, and it was really scary. You know, you didn't know if they were coming down your street or what. Everybody was afraid to open their doors, afraid to go outside, and Grand Rapids shouldn't be like that. This is a peaceful community.
Well, Rick and Shannon, thank you for putting this together. Again, people just starting to gather down here, downtown, at outside the Ford Museum, at Anabawan Park. Things officially get underway at 8:30 tonight. So we're going to be down here tonight and have continuing coverage. Back to you guys in studio.
Thank you so much, Emily. And we have heard time and time again, over and over, Roderick Danzler killed 7 people before taking his own life. We want to make sure that those 7 are remembered. 24-hour News 8's Leon Hendricks is live along Plainfield to start that part of our coverage tonight. Leon?
Well, Brian, because there are sadly so many victims in this case, we're breaking our report up into 2 parts. One that will air in just a moment here, and one in a few minutes in our second half hour. We want to start, though, with the house behind me. This was the first gruesome crime scene that police discovered, and as you can see, quite the gathering here. People coming, some perfect strangers, others people who knew the victims involved. The steps to this house is now a makeshift memorial. Flowers, teddy bears, all sorts of items placed there to try and remember those lost in this house yesterday.
This is god-awful.
A pointed descriptor for the senseless bloodshed here. The victims, a family that lived at this address for years. The home's steps now a memorial. Its lawn a gathering place for those wondering, grieving, and hurting. 3 victims lost here. Kimberly Impkins was the suspect's ex-girlfriend, a bright student on the dean's list, in fact, at Grand Rapids Community College. Her sister also killed. Amanda Impkins was an employee at AAA, a popular and well-liked friend to so many. Frank Rosansky was one of the last to enjoy her smile. He says that she was at his house moments before.
Her daughter was playing with my niece and nephew, and she was worried about being late for work, and she left and came here.
And a small child also lost her life here. Marissa Impkins was just 10 years old, an outstanding elementary school student at North Park. Before many others followed, her cousins came to place a stuffed bear and a photo.
She was very happy. She was happy about everything.
Obviously, very difficult for a lot of people here. You're looking now at the pictures of the people who lived in this house. A longtime home for the people who lived here, well known in this community to the neighbors as smiley, as fun-loving, and now lost. People here gathering, trying to pay some sort of respect. We find so many times in these cases that People want to find a physical location to come together, and that has become this house, of course, outside of the vigil that Emily Leonard was reporting from. At 6:30, or at 8:30 rather, we take you to Brinell Court and the lives lost there. Back to you.
Okay, Leon, thank you. I'm here at the live desk right now in the 24-hour News 8 newsroom. These are live images right now of Annabawan Park, where people are starting to gather to remember those lives lost in that shooting rampage yesterday. The victims who died during Roderick Danzler's crime spree were certainly not the only victims. Danzler also held 3 people hostage, and much of our community was really spellbound as we waited on every detail to find out what was happening with them, where he was going next, what was going to happen. A big part of the coverage, 24-hour News 8's Rick Albin, we were watching all of this unfold, and you watched minute by minute what was happening next down here. It was really, really chaotic.
It is also an unusual circumstance because we were living it moment by moment with our viewers at the very same time. And about this time last night, I was explaining to viewers that we had done something that we wouldn't normally do. We were taking information directly from that communication between law enforcement agencies and putting it directly on the air as we watched the chase, which was my first indication that there really was a public danger out there. But then the horror that followed later, that this man, this suspect in 7 murders, had kicked in the door of a house of a couple completely unsuspecting. We talked about it earlier today. They could have well been watching the continuing coverage as he burst into their back door, only a few blocks from one of these scenes, and held them hostage. Then we started hearing there were 2 hostages. Then we started hearing about potentially more. Ultimately, all of the hostages, there were 3 in total, were released safely and unharmed. And for the brother of one of those hostages who was waiting to be reunited with her, he was trying to find the right words to say.
I'm going to give her a big hug, that's for sure. Yeah. I don't know exactly what I'll say, but I'm just happy that everything turned out in a positive way and that nobody was harmed.
But here's one of those interesting facts about our coverage last night. Because it was so fluid and we were trying to make editorial decisions on a moment-to-moment basis, there were things that we were hearing that we were not going to record with, even though we know there were people that were listening to the scanner. Some of it was going on social network. But for example, after the first hostage was released, the police department said there is only 1 hostage. We had already heard on the scanner that there was at least another. And the most frightening thing we heard, that there may have been 2 others and they might have been juvenile. That turned out not to be true, which is part of the coverage in what we call the fog of war as you start covering these things. So our real concern was, now that there had been an exhibited danger to the community, how long was it going to last? And then the final thing was, and you and I talked about this too, that during the afternoon, he could have been anywhere. He could have been on his way to Chicago or Detroit or Dallas for that matter. We really didn't see any outward manifestation of the danger that existed. But once that chase happened, once we saw him firing that gun indiscriminately, and then he was surrounded in that house, it was clear this event was going to end right there. The question was, how was it going to end? And the fear was for those hostages. And when it was finally over, and they were all released safely, it wasn't just the community breathing a collective sigh of relief, but this newsroom as well. Watching all of that happen, and you're right, I mean, that play-by-play of that chase, and then seeing what ensued afterward, and just waiting it out. Tense moments that lasted for hours. Yeah, well, we were on the air for 7.5 hours straight, and frankly, the people in this city were watching because it did impact them directly, and it's something that's going to impact them for a long time to come. Yeah, it's all about safety. Rick, thank you. Brian.
Rick, Sue, thank you. The big question we had today is, well, what's going to be next for those hostages that made it out alive? And how might police help them? 24-Hour News 8's Ryan Takeo talked to the lead negotiator who told us what might be in store.
It's obviously a traumatic event, and I think what might make it worse for them is they were caught by surprise. It wasn't a known person. They may or may not have known what was going on in the city, and I can't imagine being in that kind of a situation where somebody's actually invading your home, invading your space. They're going to need some time and some help, and we'll certainly do everything we can to help them if we can, and then we can direct them in the right areas if they need our assistance.
What kind of help would they need?
That's going to be up to them. I don't know specifically. I only talked to a couple of them briefly, and all the resources we have are available to them if they need it.
Some of those resources include?
Oh, if they need to talk to a specialist and what they went through, any kind of medical